Real quick, 20 seconds. I see you moving that hand, don't click away. Last week, I partnered with Raid Shadow Legends to make my previous video. Just letting you know that the campaign is still ongoing. If you look in the description, you're actually able to see how many people have signed up using my link. We're still trying to reach that goal of 93 installs, so if you haven't done so, please do. And a huge shout out to everyone who already has. And another big shout out if you didn't skip ahead. Inside jokes are great for everyone that knows them. If you don't, they sound extremely stupid, and you feel extremely stupid for not understanding them. But even so, inside jokes are powerful. They get us to do random, otherwise unexplainable things. This video, as you probably guessed, is about one of those times. How an inside joke between a couple potentially disrupted an entire RuneScape market. Or did it? It's one of the most misunderstood market shifts on RuneScape, and you'll see why in a bit. 5 years ago, a user put up an Ask Reddit thread asking, what is something hilarious that you can't tell anyone because it's too inappropriate? One of the top replies, me and my boyfriend's sex life completely altered the RuneScape market about 5 or 6 years ago. First of all, this might be fake because nobody who plays RuneScape has sex. Moving on, as much as I'd love to describe the process in graphic detail, let's keep it clean. The guy would put mints in his mouth and blood-veld her clam. Our boy just so happened to be also pretty big into merching. Successful merchers are usually some of the richest players in RuneScape. Because of the lay epic funny meme he had with his girlfriend, he figured he'd dump some extra cash into collecting mint cakes. An extremely rare but virtually useless item. Eating one restores 50% of a player's run energy, which actually sounds like quite a bit, but seeing as how super energies restore 40% energy per dose, hold 4 doses, and are cheaper and much easier to obtain, virtually nobody cared about mint cakes. So this guy decided to start his collection, ask all his friends to buy the item for him when he hit the limit on the Grand Exchange, and got collecting. He realized pretty soon after nobody was actually selling these things, they were so rare. According to his girlfriend, he started paying a lot more for them, which you might think, oh, maybe double or triple the price. No, it was 20,000% over the current going price to be exact. This story is around 2009-2010, so the GE price was about 1,000 coins. Instead, he was now paying 200,000 for a useless cake. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's a rare item, but it's not discontinued, so why didn't people just start farming them? I figure now I'll explain how you get a mint cake. At the time, there was only 2 ways. The first one could be done once per account and was locked behind a long members only quest called the Path of Gluffery. A little fun fact, the quest just barely didn't make it into old school and is actually mostly complete in the game's archive. The other way is the Gnome Restaurant minigame. Essentially RuneScape's weird version of Uber Eats, but I guess they kind of predicted the future since it came before then. You have to complete hard deliveries for a chance at one, and even then it's still rare. So these things were hard to come across. A guy buys up all of them for memes, and the price starts shooting up, and all the merchants go, huh? And the price skyrockets up to 2 million GP before people realize it doesn't do anything. Silly investors, you should have known what you were doing before buying that. I mean, anyone that dabbles in flipping, cryptocurrency, or the stock market has made a bad investment. Like me buying Dogecoin at its peak because haha, yellow dog funny coin go up. But that's not what happened here. Let's zoom back a couple years before this story. Jagex is having big issues with botting and real-world trading. Kids are buying gold using their mom's credit cards, the gold seller takes the credit card details, uses it to buy membership on a bunch of bot accounts, and then, once the parent realizes what happens, files a chargeback, and the credit card company is now upset at Jagex. These companies said, hey, quit it, or we won't do business with you anymore. So they said, okay, no more trading. Sort of. You could still trade items, but they had to be very similar value based on Grand Exchange prices. But as you all know, GE value isn't always accurate. Like when new content such as the Nightmare of Ashihama comes out, it takes months for the prices on the GE to actually reflect what they're really worth. This is because the Grand Exchange price can only change a little bit every day to avoid market manipulation. So where am I going with this? After free trade was taken away, a new process called junk trading was invented. There's a bunch of items on the GE that have a high value for really no reason other than that nobody really buys or sells them. Their street value, in this case, is significantly more. On the flip side, if the item's worth a lot less, it was used in scams. If someone wanted to purchase a whip using real money, they'd use junk items to trick the trade screen into thinking the value of random items matched the whip. This is where mint cakes come in. They were the perfect item, difficult to obtain, and don't serve really any purpose. They were a great alternate currency. It made real-world trading possible again, and actually pretty easy. Their street value was at its peak 8 million GP. and a grand exchange price was only 20k. So someone could purchase a mint cake on a real world trading site, sell it on the street with some junk items to pad the trade, and just get 8 mil cash. People were staking mint cakes, gambling with them. It was a really weird time. And since they were edible, if you misclicked it, that's 8 mil into your mouth, and at least you got half of your run energy back. Now, it actually didn't take Jagex very long to catch on to this. They knew mint cakes were being used to RWT, so what did they do? They patched the Gnome restaurant to make them extremely common. It was madness all over the GE. Some people sold their cakes to others for 2 mil, 100k, some even just dropped them on the ground. Someone was buying up all the cakes for half a mil, laughing at panic sellers, saying the price would stabilize. It didn't. The cakes kept dropping, and at the end of it all, they were back to basically worthless. With all this, we wound up with what I'd call one of RuneScape's biggest old wives' tales. I guess this really just goes to show you should do your research. I'm not saying the Reddit poster made this all up. In fact, they might have even been a main influencer for people to start using mint cakes, but I guess we'll never really know. Speaking of theories, I have one that somebody is rigging the Grand Exchange, and yes, I did do my research. Check it out on screen now.